Episode 7 adapts the famous Charpy Impact Test chapter, along with the Peekaboo camping trip, aka chapters 32 and 33. Right off the bat, it seems that the rumors were true. Assistant Professor Ushonomiya, aka Asprof, is indeed voiced by Dio himself, which I never expected while reading, but hearing and seeing it now, I think it's such a good casting decision, since he's always posing while speaking. That and Barut's manager from episode 8 of season 1 is voiced by Aizen already. Anyway, regarding the changes, I found it to be a really odd choice to skip chapter 31, as that was the Asprof's introduction chapter, and a really funny one at that. Either way, before the lab begins, the anime omits this panel of exposition, which further explains how dire of a situation the Scumbros are currently in. Here, it seems that anime Iori is slightly weaker than his manga counterpart, as he is no longer able to knock off Kohei's shoes with his slap anymore. And later when Kohei shows Iori that he has access to a past lab report, its design is changed to have a cover page and no longer has a binder clip anymore. After Iori's balls get obliterated, the anime adds in lightning to the establishing shot of Rainy Izu. And a little later, the anime adds a clock into the lab to show us that the Asprof's class is at 10 AM. And that was really about it for the Charpy Impact Test plotline. Very minimal changes, as it seems Zero G really knows how iconic this chapter is for readers, and chose to adapt it almost shot for shot with the manga. However, the same can't be said about the camping trip, as a lot was skipped in this one. I'm talking a full 6 pages in just the beginning alone, which means we no longer get this absolute banger of a line from Kohei. Instead, all of the setup for this plotline gets condensed and lampshaded with these lines of dialogue, along with really clever usage of exposition by detailing up this clipboard. Which was definitely done to fit this chapter into half of an episode, since I definitely felt like this could have been a full episode on its own, but since it's following the Charpy Impact Test, it's understandable for the season's pacing. To quickly recap what did get skipped though, Kohei found a cheap listing to sorta rent out an elementary school, and Peekaboo decides to use it as the location for their club camping trip. Later, during the road trip to get there, the first years play a game where they guess what the current song's origins are, and in the manga, Aina plays the theme from Terrace House. When Chisa plays an embarrassing song that Iori wrote when he was younger, there is no longer a cut-in featuring Shiori anymore. And it's heavily implied that this was a song on the CD that Iori annihilated during episode 2. However, a really necessary change is that we actually get to hear the audio versions of Chisa's Ocean playlist and Iori's song, as opposed to just lyrics on pages, which fully takes advantage of adapting this part in a medium that allows the viewer to hear what the characters do as well. With that being said, during this season, I haven't actually ever disliked any of the changes made per se, but axing these pages from the road trip genuinely bummed me out, as they do a fantastic job of portraying just how close the 4 leads have become since the start of the series. Which I can't lie, believe it or not, these specific pages were what I was most excited to see adapted for this season. Either way, after the first years arrive at the camping grounds, Azuma is no longer there to greet them. And when the first years gush about how excited they are about camping, their imagination bubbles are slightly tweaked as well. After the haunted house sequence, Peekaboo all meet up for a bonfire, and the anime gives Azusa a beer to hold in this shot. Zero G then hints that they may hate us by omitting her turn during Limbo, along with the magic show that Iori and Kohei put on. Later, after Chisa reminds Iori of his depth, we get a callback to the finale of season 1, where Iori couldn't attend all 3 dives at Miyakojima, with actual shots from the episode itself to remind viewers about such a crucial plot point from 7 years ago. Nearing the end of the episode, there's no longer an establishing shot of the school they stayed at overnight, and instead swaps it for Grand Blue during a brand new day. And finally, the chapter's final panel is not adapted, this time of sober Chisa feeling embarrassed about the whole drunk conversation she had with Iori on the following day. And that does it for this week. It was really great to see the Charpy Impact Test adapted with next to no changes. However, I can't say I really liked how the camping trip omitted my favorite pages from the first year's road trip part though. Either way, it's all still peak, and I'll see you next week, when Best Girl returns where I might leak.